Folks, hello. That was a way quicker entrance than I had anticipated. I thought I had a countdown. Anyway, welcome to the first ever Dad Season show with me, your host, Denny Carter. I appreciate you joining. This may be something of a learning experience as we go along here. I'm used to podcasting, as you may know, about sports, particularly football. So this is very different. But here's the thing. I'm a takesman, along with my Roto World Football Show co-host Pat Doherty, who I hope will make an appearance on the show at some point soonish. We're working on that very closely. Lawyers talking, agents talking. Anyway, I'm a takesman, and I have takes. I have takes on the dad life and being a dad in the 21st century, which seems to be different than being a dad in any other part of this or last century, the century before that even. Our lives are way different than our dads' lives were, and definitely their dads. You may have seen that in the preview video I did for the Dad Season show. Some of it will be lighthearted, jokey, my wife might say, and then some of it will inevitably be pretty heavy because, as you know, if you're a guy going through dad season, things can get heavy. It can be a heavy part of your life, a heavy time of your life. But I want to tell you first I'm going to take a sip of my scalding hot coffee and hope I don't burn myself. I wanted to tell you first that I was walking the dog, my dog Ziggy, who is, per the analytics, a good boy. I've looked into it very strongly. And I have confirmed over and over and over again that Ziggy is a good boy. I was walking to him, and I walked to the local preschool where both of my kids went. I have a son who's 11. I have a daughter who's 7. You may hear about them on this show as things go along. Anyway, they went to that preschool just across the street. And, I go over there, and they're just little kids everywhere, 2, 3, 4 years old, right? And I remembered, like, when the kids were there, particularly my first kid, my son. There's this sense that, like, this is the rest of your life. Like, this is it, folks. And you think it's just going to go on forever. And the thing about time is that it's finite. And you turn around and the kid's 11. He's not 2 or 3 or 4 anymore. He's 11. And that time of your life is over. See, dad season can be broken down into, separate seasons, right? Different portions. The infanthood, toddlerhood. When you get to nursery school, preschool, whatever you want to call it. In the Maryland, Virginia, Washington area, we usually call it preschool, but whatever you call it. And then in the elementary, and then suddenly I have a kid going into middle school next year. And so you think that it just goes on and on and on. But the reason I named this show the Dad Season show is because it is but a season of our lives. And, not super long. I mean, yes, ideally you'll be a dad for a very long time. But it goes by very, very quickly. And you look back and you have so many regrets. I'm sure you have regrets. I already have regrets. I'm 40. I turned 40 in the summer. I already have regrets. I can't imagine how many regrets I'm going to have when I'm 50. It'll be tremendous. Just so many. By 60, well, I'll have to write a book about all the things I regret. The reason I'm doing this show is so we can have a dialogue about mistakes we've made and what we may have learned from them, or what we haven't learned but could learn. Does that make sense? I do want, and some would say need, your participation in the chat during these episodes. I would love your input. I would love to go back and forth with you on the things I talk about or things you want to bring up. Okay? I have an agenda. It's true. I'm looking at it right now. It's nice and tidy. No, I'm kidding. It's a complete mess. I have no idea what I'm going to do next. But I have an agenda. But if you want to throw in some topics or some anecdotes or whatever, I'd always encourage that, because I'm going to need something to vamp on, and B, I want this to be a community sort of thing. We're going to do live streams on YouTube for a while at least. Some of the folks, you may call them boomers, elderly millennials, are already asking, when is the podcast going to be out? When can I have my pod? Or when pod? The answer is I don't know. I don't know. If you know me, you know I'm not the tech savviest guy alive. In fact, the fact that I set this up is quite amazing. I'm amazed by myself that I was able to put myself on the internet streaming in front of you. So I don't know about a podcast. For now, it's just going to be YouTube. But we'll see. We'll see if it catches on. We're going to do this weekly. For right now, we're going to do a weekly show. When you say we, I mean me. I'm going to do a weekly show Mondays at 1:00 Eastern, the only legitimate time zone, as you know. Sorry to the West Coasters. I know you're just waking up. You're just getting on your surfboards. You're eating your fish tacos, drinking your margaritas, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what they do on the West Coast, but it'll be a little bit early for the West Coast. You can watch it on replay, whatever the case may be. Excuse me. But yeah, so we're going to do Mondays at 1:00 for now. I'll let you know if that changes, of course. You may have seen the, I would say, hilariously dumb thumbnail that I included on this video of me with a pot on my head, with a perplexed look. I'm being told that if you open your mouth, you get more clicks on YouTube. So if you, that sort of thing, you get more clicks. So I tried that. We'll see. I need my clicks. And the title of the show is The Power of Weaponized Incompetence, which sounds super serious, because it can be. It can be, and it can be really detrimental to a dad's life, and relatedly, the life of your kids and your partners. By the way, I keep going on tangents, but this is the first show. I have a lot to say. I always have a lot to say. Some would say, look, this is not just for dads. Okay, it's for folks who are dad curious. It's for old dads, new dads. Aunts and uncles who have nieces and nephews who want to be better at communicating with children, being better with kids, that sort of thing. You don't have to be a dad. I promise. You may say, "Oh, I'm not a dad. I'm clicking out of this. I'm out." No. No, you stay, and we'll talk. You don't have to be a dad. Anyway, weaponized incompetence is a thing, and like I said, a potentially serious thing. The term weaponized incompetence was coined by a Wall Street Journal columnist named Jared Sandberg way back in 2007. The Zoomers have no idea what 2007 means. In the column, Sandberg described the phenomenon of strategic incompetence as one in which employees intentionally demonstrate a lack of competence in the workplace to avoid performing unwanted responsibilities. One definition of weaponized incompetence is manipulative incompetence, strategic incompetence, toxic incompetence, or deceptive incompetence. A person uses this to avoid having to do an action again in the future. It also puts the responsibility of the task on another person to complete. I'm saying a lot of words, but you definitely know what I'm talking about, guys. Okay? Many of us, including myself, we were raised to be very strategically incompetent about certain things. And by certain things, I usually mean grunt work. I'm not including all men in this. conversation. A lot of guys grew up doing all the household chores that their sisters or their mom or whoever would do. Maybe their dad was doing it as well, doing those chores. But a lot of us were trained at a very young age, you're not doing that. You don't need to do that. And honestly, if someone asks you, you say, that's not my thing. And then a lot of us took that and ran with it. And later in life, when we move in with someone or when we get married, have kids, we say, well, that's not my thing. Why are you asking me to do the dishes? That's not my thing. I'm not. Here's the thing. Here's the weaponized part of it. You say, I'm not good at, you're better at it, honey. You're way better at doing the dishes. You're way better at folding the laundry. I've done this. Not only in adulthood, I did this as a kid. I had a friend in elementary school. I don't know, probably 2nd, 3rd grade. And I would basically pretend I couldn't do certain assignments so that he would help me or do it for me. I would feign ignorance because I was lazy. And so what are you going to do? I can't do it. I can't do it. You got to help me, right? If I can't do it, you can do it and I can't. So, be a pal and help. That's the message. That's the message. And that's manipulative, right? I really didn't understand this until, I don't know, last like 2 years, 3 years, maybe. And we do that all the time in the home. I remember when I was first married, like the laundry was piling up and the question arose, when are you going to do the laundry? I mean, to me, I was like, I don't know. I don't know how to do the laundry. I didn't know how to do the laundry when I got married. Like I had never done laundry because my mom had always done that for me. I know that sounds funny. It sounds funny, probably especially to women, okay, who are listening to this and are like, oh my God, you are so pathetic. And yeah, that's right. that's pathetic. I was 27 or 8. No, I was 26 when I got married. Didn't know how to do laundry. And then when my wife asked me, can you fold my laundry in a certain way? And then later when we had kids, can you fold the laundry in a certain way so that they fit more efficiently in the kids' drawers? My answer was, I don't know. I can't do that. I'm going to fold it the way I fold it. I'm not going to make any special effort to fold it. I don't know how. You can do it. That was just sheer feigned and consequently weaponized incompetence on my part. I had used fake incompetence to put this chore on my wife's shoulders, not mine. And here's the thing about folding laundry a certain way: you simply learn to do it. You just learn. You're capable. I believe in you. I believe in your potential. I do. That takes effort, though, to learn, right? So it might mean that I have to pull up a YouTube video about folding laundry, which will mess up the algorithm, honestly, because all my YouTube videos are David Bowie and DFS stuff. So anyway, you do it, you learn, and then you're no longer incompetent. You are, some would say, competent, and you can do it yourself. And you can take that burden off of your partner. But this fake incompetence that guys usually, for the most part, use against their partners and others, it can happen in the workplace. It happens. I know that people are listening to this, watching this right now, and saying, I have a coworker who does exactly this. He or she fakes like they can't do something, so I have to do it. Okay? Here's the thing. I've been that coworker. I have. I take no pleasure in saying that. I'm not happy about it at all. In fact, I'm quite ashamed in hindsight. But I've been that coworker. But being able to recognize as a dad, as a guy, being able to recognize that feigned incompetence is key to sharing, responsibilities in the household. And those responsibilities, they grow so much, as as a lot of you know, when when you have kids, the responsibilities go through the roof. And I'm a type B type, okay? Type B type. I'm a type B personality. I don't think that we should have to schedule our lives by the minute or by the hour. I think that that's bad. And so I fought it for a long time, but it's necessary when you reach a certain stage of life, I think. It took me a really long time to accept that. My wife is a type A, thank God. I don't know. I guess I would just have to turn into a type A or something. But she's a type A, so she's very organized. I'm not organized. So I end up leaning, I have in the past ended up leaning on her hard to the point of having issues. This is not, I'm not breaking news. Okay. When one person is doing a lot of the work, most of the work, all of the work, that's a problem. And I don't care if both of you grew up in hyper traditional households, okay, where mom stayed home and did all the cooking, did all the cleaning, did all the child rearing, and dad, he worked. He worked and he came home and he said, "Hello, children. Hello, wife. I would like my bourbon and my steak. And I would like to watch the game and I would like to go to bed." Even if you grew up in that household, you're still not going to like it when all the stuff is on you, when all the responsibility is on you. You're not. I refuse to believe that anyone would say, "Yes, that's fine. I like that arrangement." No, 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 no. I reject that. Let's get to your questions about, well, weaponized incompetence and how we as dads are really good at that. I mean, we're the experts. God, I could teach a 300 level course in college on how to pretend you're incompetent. Here's the scene in The Office. Okay, and I know there are haters of The Office, which look, folks, it's okay that The Office is not high art. Okay, it's okay that David Lynch didn't make The Office. You can still enjoy it. I promise. And this is coming. Look, I'm total snob. I'm a yucker of everyone's yum. You know this if you know me online. I love to yuck a yum. But I also recognize that some shows and movies and books, they have value as just fun entertainment. That's The Office, okay? Doesn't have to be high art. Anyway, there's a scene in The Office where Ryan tells Pam that he can't make copies. I think he can't make copies of a paper because, quote, "I'm not good at it. I would just mess it up. You're better at it." And the camera, of course, pans to Pam. And she looks at it like, what the hell? But that was so real. I remember seeing it the first time and being like, oh wow, that's me. I am Ryan. And in this scene, Ryan is an ass. And that's me. So to recognize it is, of course, important. All right, let's see. Oh my gosh, John Bosch, my boy, looking for the Twitch stream. Come on, man. What do you the Twitch stream? I don't know anything about Twitch. I do know that the Roto World Football Show is on Twitch, which you can find every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, let's Yeah, right. So yeah, Toronto Dave knows what I'm talking about. It. You're so much better at it, which is so disingenuous to say that to someone, right? Because it's couched, it's packaged as a compliment. Wait, say you're at work. Okay, this is just something that can apply to, more than just dad sitting at home doing dad stuff, right? So you're at work and someone you work with comes up to you and says, "Hey, I was asked to do this thing. I can't do it. I think it would be great for you because you're so good at it. You're so good at this menial task. How'd you get so good? It's amazing." As if doing that task is innate. As if certain people were born able to do certain menial tasks better than others, which of course is ludicrous. It's a matter of effort. It's just putting in effort. And the person being asked in this circumstance in the workplace has been and continues to be willing to put in that effort. The person asking, "Oh, can you take this? You're good at it," could teach a master class, has perfected the art of weaponized incompetence. And they're putting their responsibility on someone else. And when this enters the household, as you know, as many of you know, it can be quite toxic and quite bad. Frank, I'm sorry, it is not about weaponized incontinence, but we'll revisit that at another date, maybe. Ted, hi Ted. I will never do laundry. That's kind of how I started. That's kind of how I started married life. I will never do my own damn laundry. Instead, you do it since you're good at it. Oh man, it's actually hard to say the words now. Man, let's keep going. Yeah. So Nathan, hi Nathan. Good to see you here, even though you beat me in fantasy football championship very unfairly, and I am begging my league mates to look into it and not to certify your victory. There is no dumber marital problem or marital parenting argument than, quote, "You didn't do the chore the way I would have preferred." It's a dumb argument. I will give you that. I do think that whether it's, whichever partner it is, I think that there is an argument for saying this way is better than that way. And I know that like ego kicks in and you get defensive, all that stuff. But it's usually a pretty dumb argument. And I do think generally you're right about that. Okay. My guy, Iron Zung, perhaps fold laundry while watching the game. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be like the most arduous task in the world. Here's what I did shortly before the Super Bowl yesterday. I took a huge basket of laundry and I dumped it out on my bed and I watched the WM Phoenix Open on NBC while I folded laundry. And I wasn't even paying attention to the laundry. I was just doing it like a machine. But I was watching Scotty Scheffler hit everything within 10 feet. And I was watching him miss putts. And I was tilting my face off because I had Scotty Scheffler in a lot of DFS lineups. Nevertheless. Anyway, yeah, you can do that. Make it fun. You can make it fun. You can become competent whilst having fun. It's true. Kyle Myers. Hey, Kyle. Thanks for joining the chat. I've seen statistics on how much more involved millennial dads are compared to the generation previous and wonder how wives didn't just kill their husbands at alarming rates. That took a dark turn. Kyle. But yes, right? Oh my goodness. Like baby boomer dads. Okay, look, I know someone is watching this and they potentially get offended when I say this because they say, "Oh, my dad did everything." And they very possibly that's true. That's true. I'm not, but wow, baby boomer dads were not reading all that, right? They were not cooking. They definitely weren't cleaning. Cooking. Can you imagine your dad cooking? I literally can't. So I didn't learn how to cook. Here's something I've tried to do recently. I've tried to learn how to cook because I don't want to be strategically incompetent anymore when it comes to cooking. Do I like cooking? No, cooking's awful. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Oh, well, I do have some joy in cooking. I have found some happiness in making food. No, it's the worst. I have no idea how people like cooking. None. They have no idea why I enjoy frustrating myself at the driving range, hitting duck hook after duck hook. So, for to each his own. But listen, no, I don't like cooking, but I'm trying. I have a cookbook for dumb dads or whatever it's called. Okay, I'm grinding that book. Okay, I'm looking into it strongly, going recipe by recipe, being very careful with what I buy and how I cook it because, folks, I don't know anything about cooking. If you do not believe me, ask my wife about that. Better yet, don't ask her, because my lack of cooking competence isn't funny as much as it is alarming. That's what I think I would say, and I think my wife would say as well. I made a casserole 2 weeks ago, and didn't go well, is what I'll say. I got frustrated. I was just tilting my head off during making this casserole, but I made it. It was edible, thankfully. But I'm trying to be less incompetent in the kitchen, because guess what? If I'm strategically incompetent as a food preparer, then where does the responsibility fall? It falls on my wife. And she likes cooking, and she's really good at it. But she don't want to constantly cook. Okay, I don't know if anybody does. So that's just one example. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, there you go. Nathan is a good take here. Fake incompetence is bad faith in marriage and deserves to be punished. I don't know about punished. But yes, it is. You're pretending. It's pretending. Like, a bad faith belief is pretending to believe something that you actually don't to achieve a goal. Okay? And so you're pretending that you can't, that there's no possible way that you can cook. No way. I just can't. I was born not knowing how to cook. How dare you suggest otherwise? This is what we say. This is how we act. Really, truly. As guys, this is what we do. And maybe you can get away with that for a while, but you cannot get away with it forever. And you don't want to get away with it forever. Okay? And when you're in the dad season, and now you have extra people to cook for every night, okay, more food to buy, more food to prepare, more things to coordinate, it becomes more of a burden on the person taking on the majority of that responsibility. So ideally, you want to get competent. It sounds It sounds almost stupidly simple, right? But the key to not using fake incompetence against your spouse or your partner is to simply become competent. That's it. Like, there's no huge secret. There's no secret, I promise you. Okay? And I know a lot of you spend ungodly amounts of time on fantasy sports because you want to be good at it. I do too. I have for almost 20 years. Okay? You can put that same sort of effort into learning how to cook, doing things around the house, picking up like the school related activities. So, your partner's not doing all that. So you have the ability. Like, you got crazy good at fantasy sports. You can also get good at other things. I know that may come as a shock to many of you. Yeah, Tony, Anthony, when you think you're an adult, then you marry an actual adult. Right. Right. That happened to me, Mr. Reimer. Nathan's back. I could feel the spirit of equality and fairness leaving the building. The one time I asked my ex to mow the lawn. Yeah, look, I get it. I get it. I mean, it is good to just do the things that you're expected to do without trying to share everything. Woo, that's a doozy, brother. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try that one. Eric Belair. Hello, Eric. Eric says, I have the opposite problem. I'm a perfectionist, so I prefer to do everything around the house for my full time. Hey, that works. I mean, if that arrangement works, it doesn't work for everybody. But if you are a perfectionist and if you're a type A and you want things done a certain way, then you go for it. Yeah. Yeah, it's not one size fits all. I'm mostly talking to guys who just are not doing their fair share. Can I explain this in football terms? That's a good question. Man, kind of having trouble with this one. Here's one. So everybody always asks every time a punter gets injured and they say, well, the field goal kicker can't punt. And people say, well, why? Why? The field goal kicker should know how to punt. It's that simple. He's a kicker. What is he doing all day? And, maybe the kicker is like, hey, it's not my thing. Can't do it. Can't do it. Tried it. Can't do it. Well, maybe if you're the coach or the GM or something, you say, hey, kicker, learn to punt. You don't have to be a Pro Bowl punter, but we need you to be able to punt a little bit. We need you to be able to drop the ball and kick the ball downfield. That's what we need. Maybe that works. I don't know. All right. Boots. I have never, quote, heard of Twitch, and I have never been to Super Bowl Media Day. I have. I promise. I was at the Super Bowl. Toronto Dave, getting back to weaponized incompetence, it's also implying that one can't learn how to do something. That is, I mentioned that earlier, but it is worth repeating because you're implying that, like, I'm not capable. Sorry, I don't, sorry you think that I'm capable. You think that I can do something. Well, I'm telling you I can't. I'm telling you that I cannot do this thing. Well, thanks a lot. It sounds, the more you talk about it, the more you try to justify it, the sillier it is. I do want to say this about feigned incompetence and how usually guys use it in partnerships and during their dad's season. You have to recognize it, and you can't be defensive about it. And this is a theme, I would guess, that we're going to come back to over and over and over again on the dad season show, is defensiveness. Because men can get defensive. You know that. I know that. I have been absurdly defensive about, the most meaningless stuff, the most trivial things. I have defended my ego at all costs with my kids and my wife, right? You can't be defensive with this stuff. If you are, you'll never recognize it. And importantly, you'll never correct it. You'll never address it if you're defensive, because you're just erecting a wall and you're saying, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing anything wrong when I tell you that I can't fold the laundry, when I tell you I can't iron a shirt, okay? When I tell you I can't, I don't know, vacuum or mop the kitchen or something. You are I lost my train of thought here. But yeah, I mean, it is true. The implication is definitely there, uh, that you can't do it. Oh, defensiveness is where it was. Yeah. So you need to accept it, and that's hard, man. That's hard, you know, to admit not only to another person but also to yourself that you're doing something wrong. I do think as Americans, particularly, we are raised largely to believe that we don't do anything wrong. You know, that what we do is what we do. That's simply not true. You do things wrong all the time. So do I. And when we're told that, we get defensive. It's just a natural mechanism. It just kicks in, right? Just kicks in. No, you can't. That's not allowed. You can't tell me that I'm doing something wrong. That means I have to acknowledge that A, I can improve on something, and B, I'm not good at it. You know, and we don't want to acknowledge that. So defensiveness, listen, I'm gonna talk about defensiveness probably every episode of the Dad Season Show, just as a warning. All right. Thanks for all the comments, by the way. I really appreciate this. I'm gonna try to get to all of them, but I'm not sure if I can. We have about 20 minutes left. Skeels says, how is weaponized incompetence anything but selfishness and ultimately disdain for your partner? Well, there you go. Skeels said it. It really is. I mean, it's so deeply manipulative, right? I will say that a lot of it, at least in my experience, was not intentional. You know, it depends on how you're brought up, but it's not intentional until you realize that you are doing the thing, and then you're saying, well, I guess I am doing that intentionally. That doesn't make any sense. But yes, selfishness and ultimately disdain for your partner. It's hugely selfish, hugely. In my experience, I do think guys are more susceptible to this sort of thing, weaponizing their incompetence, because we're selfish, man. Like, we have our things and we want to do our things. We want to do our hobbies. We want to play our games. We want to engage with our certain media obsession at the moment, whatever it is. And that selfishness is manifested in the way we feign incompetence with our partner, whom we love, right? So yeah, disdain for that partner doesn't quite gel with love. Some would call it the opposite, I would think. Andrew, hello. Can't imagine parenting my toddlers like my parents parented us. Such a stark delineation of jobs. We both now do everything. Biggest tell is that my kids' grandpas would still never change a diaper. Man, yeah. Andrew, thank you for that. My grandfather, my late grandfather, he died in 2017. Very happy when my wife was pregnant. We told them he did get to meet my son. I guess my son was 5 when my grandfather passed. So he was still in relatively good health when Xavier was a baby. And we would go over to my grandparents' house for whatever, birthday, Easter, whatever it is. And I would change Xavier's diaper. Now, I kind of caught on early that I was not going to be allowed to be strategically incompetent when it came to diaper changing. That wasn't going to fly, I should say. So I learned quickly and in very messy ways. You know what I'm talking about. And one time I changed my diaper. That's not right. I changed Xavier's diaper in front of my grandfather, and he laughed. He found that to be like high comedy. A man changing a diaper. I mean, he was hooting and hollering. Woo! Changing a diaper, that's good. That's good stuff. You millennials changing babies' diapers. That's wild. I can't believe I've lived long enough to see a man change a baby's diaper. That's the feel. That's the gist of what my grandfather was saying to me. Couldn't believe it. It was so foreign to him. And it was just something that is expected for millennial dads. Like you got to do it, man. Like you can't hold the baby up and go, all right, here you go. Go ahead and change the poopy diaper. You can't do that. Like I honestly don't think anybody my age would try that. And if they did, Godspeed, man. God freaking speed. But yeah, you're right, Andrew. That totally foreign concept for a guy to do something like change a diaper. And so we're talking about an entirely different relationship landscape and dynamic, right? Than we grew up with, than we experienced as kids. Because a lot of us, I can't speak for an entire generation, but a lot of us, we want things to be equal or something close to equal in our partnerships, right? I mean, that's the goal, because we know that the roles that men and women have had throughout the ages have held down one side of that equation while lifting up the other and giving the other opportunities that women have not had. So we try to share, and this is new. This is in the long stretch of history, this is a new development, and I do think we're kind of still learning, kind of still working around it. Like that Amazon commercial where the guy is home with the baby and playing and getting hit by toys and nodding off, drinking cappuccino to stay awake, and watching The Boys on Amazon Prime somehow. And then the mom she's wearing business attire, and she's going to work. She's going to work and she's coming home, and she wants her dinner, and she wants her husband to keep playing with the baby. This is utterly foreign. That commercial couldn't have aired 10 years ago. And that's slowly becoming a norm, not the norm, but a norm among a certain population. So things are changing. Thank you for that, Andrew. That was good. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Well, who have I not gotten to here? Let's see, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew. Best way to approach your own incompetence is probably just get better at the test. That's right. Seek it out. You can do it, guys. You can do it. I promise you. Toronto Dave is back. There also could be an element of shame of not knowing how to do something so simple and not wanting to face that. Wow, that's good, but that's different. Yeah, man. Toronto Dave. That I really I like that point. I have felt that. I surely have felt shame, embarrassment, right, about not knowing how to do something simple, something I know I should be able to do. And I don't know how. And it makes me feel small and stupid. And so what happens then? What happens when you feel small and stupid? You get defensive. And you might get angry. You might lash out. In defense of the ego. You want to just protect it. Protect it at all costs. It doesn't matter how many feelings you hurt. It doesn't matter how many terrible things you say. Regrettable things that you'll think about later, lying in bed and say, God bless, why did I say that? But you got it, the defenses go up. The defenses go up, baby, and you got to defend. You got to push back. No, no, no. But yeah, that there is an element of that sort of shame for sure. Let's get some of your other questions, and we'll wrap up in about 15 minutes. Diego Lopez, good buddy of mine on the line on the internet. Your opinion about cooking is invalid because you don't like food. We all know this. Man, Diego knows me. I mean, generally, I do think food is food. I know that's God. I know that's. Listen. I know that that's a bad take. I know. Okay. I have tasted good food, and I've said, this food is better than other food. So, I know. I get it, but also I'm not picky. Like I was just in Las Vegas, like the capital of bad food, and I didn't care where we ate. I kept telling Pat Doherty, like, you can choose because all food is basically the same here. And I know that you're going to tell me that there are 25. Actually, somebody on the X platform, oh man, linked me to like, I don't know, like dozens of upscale, like really nice restaurants in Vegas, and I never really scanned that list too hard. I'm regretting that now. But anyway, you're right. That does, Diego, that does play into it. Ted, I weaponized stupidity of vacation planning. Oh man. Okay, here we go. I weaponized stupidity at vacation planning so well, my wife became a travel agent. Now, Ted, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to assume that this is real. That your wife actually became a travel agent because you were such a dumbass with vacation planning. And here's the thing, Ted, I would believe it. Because I that is one thing. That is one thing I could get better at. I check out on vacation stuff. And I say, I'm not good at it. I don't know, man. You seem better at it than I am. So you go ahead. You take the reins on coordinating air travel and hotels and activities. You're good at that. Man, how many I'm talking to a lot of you who say, yeah, that's absolutely that's absolutely what I've done. And that's not good. It's not good. And yeah, Ted, I'm with you. I'm with you. And your wife picks up the slack and does a good job, obviously, because she became a dang travel agent. But that picking up the slack, it gets old. It gets real old. And that sort of hardens into resentment eventually. And that resentment, breeds more resentment and anger. And you're left with something that seems innocent. I can't plan a vacation, honey. Sorry. It's not really my thing. So I'm gonna turn on the game, if that's okay. And you start something simple like that, and it becomes it's a problem that compounds over the days and weeks and months, right? To the point where it becomes like a serious issue. So take it seriously. Take this sort of weaponized incompetence, feigned incompetence. Take it seriously, because here's the thing. It's serious. Oh, Diego, I appreciate it. Logo for the show. Folks, I actually told AI, I said, create a logo for my podcast. And I fed it some information about what my podcast would be about. And it pumped out this awesome little logo. How cool is that? Man, maybe technology isn't bad. Maybe the Terminator future that I think we're headed toward is not going to happen. It gave me a little hope. Just a little. I'm still leery of the robot dogs that I see on my timeline. I'd rather not have the robot dogs. I'd rather have the real dogs, but not the robot ones that can, I don't know, have like guns pop out of their backs and shoot you. Okay, that's not what I'm going for. All right. Here's John Bosch back. Denny putting canned corn in a dish with mayo and topping it with broken up white bread is never going to be a good casserole. You know, I thought it would be, John. Turns out it was gross. Thankfully, I didn't actually do that. Sam says, I'm in charge of fixing broken appliances. My poor partner is in charge of cleaning the bathroom. That works. I mean, you know, you don't have to do everything. That's the thing. This episode is not about saying, okay, I'm going to take charge of everything now. I'm going to learn how to do every single thing perfectly, and it's my thing now. I take over this responsibility in the household. No, it's not about that. It's about sharing. It's about making sure that one person is not slowly but surely building up resentment for having to do everything, right? You know what I'm saying, right? And so, yeah, you're in charge of fixing broken appliances. I'm sure your partner appreciates that. They don't have to fix a broken whatever microwave. I don't know. I mean, look, if my microwave even like beeps the wrong way, I'm replacing it. Okay. But I guess I am sort of in charge of broken appliances now that I think about it. My refrigerator broke on Father's Day 2 years ago, and I thought I could fix it. I looked up a YouTube thing. It's actually humiliating talking about it now, but I looked up a YouTube tutorial on how to fix this certain kind of old refrigerator. And I'm back there and I'm unscrewing stuff and I'm taking panels off and I'm looking for wires and valves and all this stuff. And I'm sweating profusely. I mean, I'm talking like drenched, like Usher at the Super Bowl sweating, just pouring down my face without the 8-pack, of course. But and trying to fix it because I think I'm supposed to be able to do this, because here's the thing, guys, I'm a guy. I should be able to do it, right? No, I wasn't able to. Unfortunately. The Germ says, chores are my therapy, and during fantasy football season, it's my podcast time. I even do extra chores to finish the episode. Man, that's good. That's good, really, truly. None of this has to be grunt work, you know? It doesn't have to be. Some of it is. But that's good. That's good stuff. You're grinding podcasts, man. You're listening to air yard data, you know, while you're folding the underwear. You're folding your own underwear, which happens to be getting bigger for some reason. Why is it getting bigger? Why is there an L on my underwear now? I don't know. It's hard to say. You guys look into that. But yeah, you can do that. That's good. Yeah. Sam, wide receivers need to block. Right. They have weaponized that incompetence. Not Juwan Jennings, though. My man does not mind blocking. Frank is back. Talk about the very online trad radicals, traditional radicals is what that stands for, who proudly declare that their husbands will do zero housework on their watch. Yeah. Well, I wrote about that last year. And I think it's for clicks, folks. I think it's for that sweet, sweet online engagement. I think it's for the dopamine that you get when you get a bunch of reposts and likes and replies and quote tweets. Okay? I think it's for that. I think it's to look a certain way. I think it's to appeal to a certain demographic. I think it's to try to trigger people, you know, by saying like, oh, like I'm so traditional, my husband won't change a diaper. All right. Congrats. I don't know. What do you want me to say? That's good. It sounds terrible. I mean, I hope that you don't mind it. I don't know. I don't know how to respond to these people. But they are something. They're not nothing. That's what I would say. All right. Thanks for that. And folks, you can catch this, of course, on replay on YouTube. And please, man, I didn't do the like and subscribe thing at the beginning. Oh, I'm so bad at this. Folks, like and subscribe. Dad Season Show. Like and subscribe. It would help me out. I appreciate that if you could do that for me. All right, a few more minutes, folks. I'm gonna. Oh man, there's so many questions. I appreciate you guys so much for doing this first episode. I have more questions than I can get to, so that's awesome. Diego's back. I'm so defensive. I sometimes even try to argue in favor of the people my wife is complaining about. Oh my gosh, Diego, come on, man, come on. That's like a freebie. What are you doing? Don't do that. All right, yeah, getting defensive. What am I, Arthur Smith, having to explain why Pitts, Bijan, and London don't get the ball? I mean, but you see, like when an NFL coach, I know a lot of you are from football circles, know me from football. When you see an NFL coach challenged on the way he's using players or a scheme or whatever, excuse me, a choice, you know, an analytics-based choice, whatever, in the fourth quarter, Kyle Shanahan choosing to receive the ball in the overtime against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, they get defensive because they don't want to believe that they can be wrong. No, I'm not wrong. I do this for a living. I put so much heart into it. I put everything I have into this job. I can't be wrong. If I'm wrong, what does that mean? It means I have to learn new stuff. It means I have to, be self-critical. I don't want to do that. And in the end, folks, that's weakness. It sounds like strength. It feels like strength when you're doing it. When you're getting defensive, you feel strong. I'm defending myself. A real man defends himself, right? You put your shoulders back. You suck in the gut. I'm defensive. In sports, the biggest badasses play defense, right? No one's scoring on me. I'm taking your head off if you try. That's defense. So that seems tough. In the end, it's weak. You're being weak when you don't acknowledge it. Like Arthur Smith never acknowledged that he wasn't using Bijan Robinson and Drake London and Kyle Pitts properly. We all knew that, okay? Everyone knew that. But he got defensive about it, and now he's coaching a high school in Western Pennsylvania. Wait. Oh, yeah, I'm hearing that he's the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Anyway, on to the next question. Toronto Dave is back. What helps me regarding being defensive is to work on my ability to tolerate discomfort. Oh, man, Toronto Dave. Toronto Dave, get your own show. What are you doing in my comments? This is good. I'd appreciate if you weren't so insightful. You're kind of stepping on me here. I'm kidding. You're great, Toronto Dave. Keep it up. You're one-upping me is the phrase I was looking for. Oh boy, we're running out of time. What helps me regarding being defensive is to work on my ability to tolerate discomfort and to notice when I'm getting worked up and to pause until I settle. I love me some Toronto Dave because Toronto Dave knows what he's talking about. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to feel defensive. So when someone says, hey, or suggests, hey, you're weaponizing your incompetence about this or that, that's very uncomfortable. We don't like that. We don't like that feeling. We want to be complimented. You are competent in this thing. You're doing really well in this thing. Oh, thank you. That feels good. And to say you are incompetent, but you're faking the incompetence is a huge shot across the bow, right? Like emotionally, psychologically, even. And so it's uncomfortable. And if you can't deal with your discomfort, you're going to lash out. I promise you're going to lash out. And you're going to regret it. That's good, Toronto Dave. All right, 2 more questions, and then I have to go because I have to go get the children from the schoolhouse. My grandfather used to say. JG says, my fiance and I have an unspoken chore split, but every once in a while I feel like I don't do enough, but every time I mention it, she says she's happy with how we divide the work. Yeah, I mean, I do think that if you feel like you're not doing your share, like your end of the deal is not enough, then it probably wouldn't hurt to pick up some of the other some other stuff. Not everything. Okay, that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to say you got to take everything off your partner's shoulders. We're saying you take some of it. So if you do, you say I feel like I don't do enough. I mean, that might mean you don't do enough. And so if you learn how to do certain things more efficiently, you can pick it up, it can be yours. It pays off. It pays off. Even if your fiance is saying, excuse me, even if your fiance is saying everything is fine, it can't hurt. Is what I'm saying. But that's a great comment. Oh man, you guys are too good. Unfortunately, everybody in this chat is going to start their own show now that I have told them that they know more than me about relationship stuff and dad's season and whatnot. John Bosch being silly again. All right, folks, I think that is all the time I have for today. I really appreciate you joining me for the first episode of the Dad Season show. Again, we're going to be on YouTube. I got to say weird. I got to stop saying weird. I'm going to be on YouTube going forward on Mondays, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So, put it in your calendar, whatever you do with shows. Because I want you in here. I want you in the chat. I want you going back and forth with me. This is amazing input, incredible input. I appreciate you guys more than you know. And again, thank you in this season of the Dad.